All right, are we back?
Yep.
All right.
You got to wear the Trump hat, huh?
I
I got in
take.
an argument with a Trumper today who was telling me I was helping Biden by voting third party.
How did that happen?
Um,
I mean, I,
he,
I, I don't know. I don't know how big the city you live in, so I just imagine like Idaho. I imagine like everybody knows everybody, and
no, no, no. It was online. It was on Twitter.
oh,
And although today, or I guess technically it came in yesterday, but we grabbed the mail from the box today, and I got a uh, absentee ballot application in the mail sent to me by the Democratic Party or Idaho State Democratic Party.
really,
Yep,
for real.
pre-filled with my voter ID. All I got to do is sign it.
Oh, was it like straight Democrat filled out?
Well, no, it's just it's all it is asking for the ballot.
Oh, I thought they
It's
sent.
not.
I thought they sent you the ballot.
No, 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 not the ballot. An absentee ballot application.
Gotcha.
But if somebody else filled it out and signed it, because there's a spot even on here for a different mailing address,
Mm-hmm.
and so somebody could have grabbed this, intercepted it, or whatever. Um,
How long have you lived in
and
Idaho?
3.5 years
So
now,
there's
or 2.5
probably a
years.
ballot that went to you back in what, Sacramento?
Oh, I'm already registered to vote. I am. I checked on the California voter registration site.
How are
That
you
was some of the.
How are you registered in California?
Huh?
You're registered in California and Idaho?
Yep. I checked the site. Hell, had moved to a different address in California, and they still had me on the roll at my old polling place. These are all the things I wanted to bring up in the discussion about uh, about voter security and voter fraud.
How, dude, like they unregister you what, like every year? You have to register every year.
No,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure
well,
every year you have to register in the county that you live in because
no,
there's always there's always what, every year or every 2 years. And
no.
nah.
I registered to vote once, and then I re-registered to vote, and I voted there for that place. I don't know how many years, and then when I moved to Citrus Heights, I re-registered, and then coming before I just didn't care. I just would go to this old polling place and vote there. But when I moved to Citrus Heights, which was all the way across town, I re-registered, and then when I moved to the Bay Area, I re-registered, and when I moved back to Sacramento, I re-registered. So
So you only register when you move.
yeah,
But if you moved from California to Idaho and you fucking registered to vote in Idaho, why doesn't that pull you off the polls? This makes so much. This is, oh my gosh. All right, dude.
uh huh.
So anyway, back to the original topic. We're on Twitter. Okay. So what are we doing on Twitter, by the way? How are we getting
What do you
into
mean?
it with a wait? A Trumpy. You were talking to a Trumpy who was saying that you voted for Hillary because you voted for Jill or something.
No, I was responding to somebody about. Well, I'll tell you what it is because I've got the whole thread right here. Oops, wrong one. Somebody had posted. I'm starting to feel like, despite being intellectually a libertarian, the only choice at this point is to support the Republican Party to prevent the Marxism and authoritarianism from the mainstream left.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I decided years ago that I only vote for a candidate I support rather than against one I oppose. Only you can decide who you cast your vote for, but I hope it's for a candidate you actually believe in rather than buying into the fear and voting against another.
Mm-hmm.
and then the Trumper came in. You enjoy that high horse when you literally allow Marxist revolution because you couldn't bring yourself to not vote for an imperfect candidate in the face of a known danger to the Socialist Dim Party.
Mm.
And then I went down the line of no candidates owed my vote. If they want, if the Democrats, Republicans want it, then they should be putting up candidates that I'd be willing to vote for.
Mm.
And so on. And
so you spent a lot of time on that Twitter, huh?
Fair amount.
What's a fair amount?
I don't know.
Search yourself, Darian. You know this answer to be true.
Several times a day, for sure.
Several times a day.
Like when I'm watching TV or whatever, just I'll be on it.
Mm.
I'm taking a shit.
Mm. Okay, so what else are we looking at besides Twitter?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Twitter. I'll sometimes read news feeds.
That's the next one I was asked. What kind of news feed you got popping up on the phone?
Oh, I use this single app called what's it called? I don't even remember. Smart News.
Smart News.
Which I can, just aggregate some of the top trending headlines or top headlines, and I can also, put sports teams if I want to follow sports teams, or I can put whatever. It just pulls them up, puts them in different tabs, and go there and read some of the headlines, and that's about it.
You know what gets me with that? Because I have an app like that too. And well, I have several apps. I have I think there's a Google Newsstand app, and there's a couple others. And you go through and you pick your shit, what you're interested in. But I can tell you that as far as the little blurbs and pop-ups I get, I'd say about 80% of them are pretty one direction. You know what I mean?
There are a lot that are one direction, or
I don't know if that's a reflection of the major news outlets, or if that's a reflection of some kind of algorithm that's trying to persuade me to see things. You know what I mean? I guess it could be ABC, NBC, CNN.
It's the news sites. The sites that do the news aggregation and things like that don't have the money or power to run those types of algorithms for individual users.
I would agree with that, but a lot of those news sites that I get, outside the major ones, there's a lot of ones I've never heard of, so and so said this, and I'm like, oh man, all right, let's see, open it up, and it's from a news site called the Hairy Blob, and I'm like, dude, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of the Hairy Blob. All right, let's see, getting into it, and no. Okay, all right, so and so said so. All right, fuck, let me search. And let me go see if there's a video on what so-and-so said. And then I'm like, man, this news site is full of shit. Or, okay. But I very rarely get, the hairy blob on the other side of the aisle. So, what I'm saying is, I don't know, dude. You could say it was a majority of the news sources are one way. Or maybe it's an algorithm, which...
I don't think it's an algorithm. I think those types of sites make their money from advertisements and convenience for the user. The most of their algorithms are what you're interested in. Okay, you click on articles about Donald Trump, so they'll present to you more articles about Donald Trump, whatever the skew happens to be.
But is that not an algorithm?
The basic ones, but not the predictive ones. So they're looking at
what would be a predictive one? Give me an example. Educate me.
He's reading an article about how to hand reload ammunition. So we're going to send him other articles about, the shit Google does.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
the
like
thing that Google does,
recommended.
like it started off what we refer to, like I guess a simple algorithm. What we're talking about, it started off with, okay, he read an article about the FBI, so let's send him another article about the FBI or keyword or I don't know if it's a keyword that ties it in or it's an outlet particularly reporting on something, and then you get fed more shit.
Right, but like these news aggregation sites are more along the lines of, okay, he clicked on this link, so more articles of that are similar to that link that they clicked,
Mm.
so to speak. So, you know, when you read, let me pull this up. So if I read an article about, what is it here? Okay, well, breaking. Trump didn't pay income tax for 10 of 15 years before 2016 election, report says. Blah, blah. Um, I want to know his accountants because that's the kind of accountant I want.
I don't know because if what they're saying is true, then obviously you don't want that guy because they found out. So,
Well, they found out because they got us, you know, got sued for his tax returns.
mm-hmm.
But you know, so that's the top breaking one. So like breaking news, because I've been clicking on a lot of the election stuff and Trump, and so anything having to do with election and Trump gets flagged for a breaking, you know, for possible interest. Um, the you know, lots of Trump stuff, Black Lives Matter protests, and then other miscellaneous stuff. I don't have kids, but I really think I can solve my friend's parenting problem from Slate magazine. Uh, People's if I get caught, there's no explanation stories from Cheesecake.
I've never heard of cheesecake. I don't even know what that. Mm,
They basically take and uh, screenshot Reddit posts and put them up there.
gotcha.
So it's like they're basically a Reddit aggregator. They find the good stuff from Reddit and post it.
It's kind of
Punk
scary.
with
Kind of
Punk
scary.
with face piercings and a mohawk says no one will hire him from the Daily Mail.
You don't think
So I
that
mean,
shit's a bit scary?
what's scary?
Just scary how, I mean, just imagine in the old days before fucking cell phones, like you actually had to have like a newspaper be thrown at your door, or you had to physically go out and go to a newsstand, and you know what I mean, like I
Or in the early days of the internet, go to news groups and things like that.
I wouldn't know about that. I think by the time internet came out, like news at my age, news was like the least thing on the list I was looking at. But that's kind of scary, man. It's kind of scary. There's a lot of shit that maybe I give 10 fucks about, and then there's shit I give 2 fucks about, and I have a handheld computer that is essentially,
More powerful than the ones used to launch the first mission to the moon.
yeah, but like essentially filtering. It's like an AI device at
And
this
what are you
point.
doing? You're fucking looking at cat gifs and shit like that.
That's what
That's
I,
what we're doing with this power.
that's what I do. Aside from playing Pokemon Go and using that app called Phone Call. You know what I mean?
What's a phone call?
Exactly. I mean, basically, you have an advanced, intelligent device that happens to have a phone call app on it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about my first cell phone. I could text and I could call, and I had limits on both. And
That can report your location, have the audio and video turned on at the provider's whim. Yeah.
yeah, so going back to this Twitter shit and fucking social media. What other social media you have besides Twitter?
I don't have anything else.
I mean,
That's it.
I swear to God, I'm not going to dox you.
I don't have anything.
He's he's a
I dumped Facebook years ago.
libertarian. You know,
Yeah, I've got more guns than you, so you won't dox me.
so you got Instagram?
concentrate on this. I guess I do have an Instagram. I guess that is technically social media.
Mm,
I don't really use it often. I'm not big into the whole photos thing and whatnot.
mm.
Um, the I liked G Plus, especially in that when it first came around, and that's actually what cemented my decision to leave Facebook completely. Um,
it, they closed G Plus because they were leaking people's personal information.
that's not why they closed it.
Oh,
That they were in the process of closing it. Then that came out, and they were just like, whatever. But
yeah, I got on
I
G Plus because of you, and I don't know.
in the early
The
days of
UI
Google
wasn't
Plus,
there. The UI wasn't there. Wasn't flashy enough to get people to buy into it. You know.
well, that's the thing though. It wasn't about marketing and things like that. It was about people making connections with other people. If you'd have your circles, and you could have people in these different circles, and you can share what you want to whatever circle,
Mm,
or you can share it publicly, and then people could, other people could find it, or whatever.
mm.
And it was a great, that was social networking at its purest, in my opinion.
I would agree. That was
You're
social networking in its purest.
you have these your circles of different interests and whatnot, and then when I'm interested in this sort of thing, I'd go over there and take a look. Or if I was interested in this other sort of thing, so on and so forth. I mean, I had conversations with Will Wheaton about homebrew,
Mm.
and people weren't pretentious and weren't all, oh, I've got so many likes and whatever, and I'm an influencer kind of BS.
Well, I will say that give anything enough time, it will get there. That's like a sad evolution. Okay, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's what kind of happened too. I mean, Google's obviously got to make money, and if we're not the consumer, then we're the product. So they've got to make money off us somehow. And
It's
so I,
it's not that they have to make money off of us. It's that like think of it. This is the way I think of it. I think of it like you have the servers, you have the electricity, you have all this overhead cost. You know, like you could be a really big company with really good CSR, you know, and you could want to do well for citizens. You could want to give internet to people and electricity, but the thing is like you have to make up the cost somehow. So here's Google. They're like, we're going to provide this service. It's a really great service, but all we're going to ask is that, maybe we, sell some of your information, or we track you. We, use Google Maps, or if you use Google Tracks, or you use Google News. I mean, there's so many apps that Google has. And it's like, if Google could offer a service, right? And and they offer a few services that you can pay for. I think YouTube is one of them. You can pay for YouTube for like $12 a month, and you get no ads, and you can use YouTube on your phone without the display being on. That's like the catch, right? But like when you're using all these apps and you're not paying for them, Google's got to pay the light bill somehow. So they're going to turn something on that's going to find out that something about something, whether they're tracking what you post or tracking what you like, or, more importantly, and this is the scary part, like tracking what you search for. So when you close the app and you open up Amazon, or you open up some website and you just start typing in stuff that you're interested in, magically there's ads. And funny thing about that, I was at work about a year ago, and there's a buddy of mine sits a cubicle across from me, and I forgot what the fuck we were talking about. It had to do with like barbecue shit and guns. Dude, I didn't look any of this up. I swear on, any relative's grave. I still had a Facebook by then, and when I went home on my desktop, there was an ad for that. And I thought that was
did you have the Facebook app installed on your phone?
I did. I did.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm just saying, like, my phone is on my desk, and I'm well
That
within.
was one of the reasons I stopped using Facebook, was when they required a phone number and like to verify by installing the app, kind of BS.
Now,
And
it's not
I was not
entirely
having anything
BS.
to do with that.
You do have to
It is
remember that there.
BS.
Well, you do have to remember there. Like it's not entirely BS. Like if you make someone provide a phone number to verify their account, yeah, obviously that's pretty shady. But they do have a problem with bots. You know, and let's say you open up Facebook and you typed in your number 555 and you registered on Facebook, and then all of a sudden for some reason you violated Facebook terms of service or you did something and they terminated your account. Like you essentially have to get a new phone number, which isn't too difficult to, but at least it kind of stops people from botting. It stops, people that get their Facebook account banned, slows them down. It's a deterrent, I guess. So it's not entirely bullshit, but let's say it's 75% bullshit. How about that? Agree to disagree?
Yeah, I'd say 95% bullshit.
Okay, 95. All right. Well, so there's a
Because
5%.
because the thing is, there's an old trick, which isn't really a trick anymore, but you could just search a phone number in Facebook, because Facebook's all about knowing who you're connected with and whatnot.
Really? I'm going to
So
do it right now. Keep talking.
you upload your phone, your contacts to them, or give them your contacts to see if they're on Facebook, to make these connections and so on, so they know who you're connected with and they have that
So I can
kind of
type somebody's
map.
number on Facebook and search it?
I don't know if you still can or not. It's been many, many years since I've used it, but you could put in a number and pull up that person's account. And it has, I remember, and this was a while after I had not been on Facebook, and I was like, man, I keep getting this number, or this call from this number, same number, not leaving messages, wasn't coming up as one of the known spam type things. And a friend of mine asked me what it was, plugged into Facebook, told me who it was. And I was like, oh shit, it was an ex-girlfriend. So, it's that's there's no reason for Facebook to have any of my information I don't want them to. And so when they started requiring the phone numbers to log in and do stuff, I can't even log in or delete my account because I'm not going to agree to their terms of use. So,
You haven't deleted your account?
nope. I wiped a bunch of stuff when I left. Um,
I deleted my account, dude.
but I can't even log into the account to delete the account because of that. Because to log into the account, you have to agree to their terms of service and their privacy policy and what they can do with their information. They've got other information that, no, I'm not going to agree to that crap.
Yeah,
So
I think it's last shit you did. I'm looking you up now. Was 2011. November 26th is the last public thing you have on there.
they'll say something about moving to G plus.
Mm-mm. That's your photo. I'm talking about your actual post. Hold on, your picture. See, I can't even click on your picture. Something about Razer games. You like something about Razer keyboards, which, if that's still the case, I feel sorry for you.
I do still like the Razer keyboards. They're good. Not so
I
hard on their mice anymore. Their older stuff was definitely better than their newer stuff.
yeah, it won't let me click on your picture. But yeah. It is you've been gone for 9 years. I think I've only been, I say disconnected. In reality, like, I don't post anything. I don't like anything. I am just on there in case I need to. And what it ended up stemming from was people would send me Facebook links like, "Oh, this is a cat video. You got to see it." And I'm like, "I don't have Facebook. Can't see it." So I made the Facebook so that I could essentially watch cat videos, because a lot of people send me cat videos, believe it or not. And
Well, that's because you're a big pussy.
I had a couple. They're here, fucking racked out. Gave them that wet, stinky cat food. But dude, I know you did a bunch of research on this, so I want you to elaborate
Not a
more
bunch
on.
of
Well, I
research.
want you to elaborate more on the complex algorithm because I did a little bit myself. I know you did quite a bit more than me, so I want you to enlighten me, enlighten the crowd as to what the fuck this advanced algorithm is.
It's just well, like you're saying, they've got to make these social media companies have to make money. Facebook. How does Facebook make money? They get a cut of when you play the Facebook games and buy coins for your farm. I don't
Mm,
even know if people play Farmville anymore, but that was big when I had left.
mm,
Um, so they get their cut doing that. They get their cut from advertisers, and that's what it is. They're gathering information about you to market to you. The stronger algorithms are the ones they're doing where they try to give you recommended information, things that they as a company or the system believes you want to know more about. So if you've been clicking on these links for whatever or talking about it and have the Facebook app installed, they log those keywords and start presenting you ads. Hey, this person's been talking about barbecue grills, so when Weber wants to send targeted ads out, you're a customer that can be dialed in. Okay, they were talking about buying a barbecue grill within the last 48 hours, so you'll get that targeted ad. It really comes down to them making money. There was that documentary that came out on Netflix a week or so ago about it, which
mm,
kind of took the wind out of my sails. I've been ranting and raving about social media for a long time. I'm very careful about how I use Twitter, what I use it for, and making sure that I have a balanced feed, just so that I don't get pulled into one of those echo chambers that are created by those algorithms. Every time that it determines, oh, okay, well, if you are you're a Trump voter, so we're going to show you more Trump voter stuff. You might like this group about Trump supporters, MAGA 2020. So then you join that, and you start seeing more Trump stuff, and then that's all you see, and it works the same way for the other side. The Biden people start seeing more Biden stuff, and that's how you get those situations where they believe that it's going to be a complete landslide because they're polling on social media,
mm.
but it's or people on social media believe well, nobody supports Trump. Only I've only seen a couple of people supporting Trump. Well, that's because the algorithms are programmed and designed to show you what it believes you want to see, which is pro Biden stuff or pro Trump stuff. So you end up not seeing the big picture, not seeing what all is out there, and it's borderline criminal. That's part of the problems that we're seeing today, where value is placed on your social media accounts and things like that. How many likes do you get? How many likes do you get on your latest Instagram picture at the beach, kind of thing? And there's been a noticeable rise in suicides that correspond, and I don't want to say it's causation, but definitely correlated. Uh, but the with social media use, suicides, even the shootings and stuff, gun shootings and things were on the rise or were on the decline, and then with the rise of social media and online bullying and all this sort of thing, then it became a quote unquote epidemic. Well, they're wrong. It has nothing to do with the guns, but it's how people are connecting these days. You're not having these conversations face to face with people where you have to look them in the eyes and call them an asshole, at the risk of getting punched in the nose. You can just sit there behind your keyboard all big and bad, and I'm going to do this. F you. I'm going to come to your house and take a shit on your front porch and blah, blah, whatever. People talk shit because they've got that protection of, you know, sitting behind their keyboard, the keyboard warriors. And in the olden days, You had to, if you're going to talk shit to somebody, you got to do it to their face. And in doing so, you're putting yourself at risk of getting punched in the nose for what you have to say. You know, freedom of speech is absolute. You absolutely have the freedom of speech, and you can say what you want, and the government cannot censor you for that. However, it is not freedom from consequences, and the person you're saying it to may very well punch you in the face. And they might be justified, they might not. They might get arrested, they might not. But it's so much has. It's kind of the perfect storm of social media, the helicopter parents,
What's that? Wait,
the
helicopter
trophies,
parent. What the fuck is that?
the ones that kind of hover, oh my precious baby, kind
Okay,
of.
okay.
The ones who go to the schools and yell at the teachers because Johnny got an F because Johnny didn't study. Well, Johnny tried his hardest. Well, no, Johnny didn't try his hardest. He was fucking off on the internet, trying to get naked pictures of, a girl from his class or some shit. So, it's that perfect storm where you've got the rise of social media. You've got the helicopter parents, which are pretty much like the boomers raising Gen Y.
No. The boomers raising kids are not hovering over their kids. Boomers raising kids were the ones that were just like, they lock you outside, you're playing outside all day. If the teacher fucking told them something and you told them something.
No, that was the greatest generation that did that. That's the Gen X kids that were locked outside and told don't come home till dark, and if you're late, then you don't get dinner. The boomers were the generation that came after that.
Okay. I don't know. I know a lot of people that I know a lot of people that were kids of the baby boomers, and essentially they grew up. They're pretty much the same age as me. Maybe some of them a little bit older, and they're fucking responsible. Now, I think if you talk to people, what am I, 37? So if you talk to people about 7 to 10 years younger than me, they have a totally different outlook on life. Now, I mean, we're characterizing when it comes to generations, but generally speaking, if I talk to somebody that's 27, they're going to have a radically different approach on how to raise kids, how they were raised, how they see the U.S., their job situation, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Like you're older than me, and we kind of have the exact same outlook. Like, we both work hard. We want to keep our money. We don't want big government. We want to keep our guns. We want people that have done something wrong to be held accountable. Just like if we did something wrong, we would be held accountable. We don't need a participation trophy. If we won, we won. If we lost, okay, whatever. And these are like, if you ever had kids, you would probably instill those same values in those kids. I would believe so. I mean, am I wrong?
You do what you can, but raising a kid is not quite that cut and dry.
So I was going to say, like, I did watch that documentary you were talking about, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, is that what we're going to call it? Was it a documentary?
Docudrama, maybe. I don't know, because it was kind of like one of those hybrid documentary.
And then they had like a reenactment or some other. They had a plot going on during. So
what the bleep do we know? Do you remember that? Did you ever see that? It was an interesting one back, 10, 15.
Was that the title of it, or are you just trying to censor yourself?
No, that's the title. What the bleep do we know?
No, I don't think I saw it. I'm gonna check it out right now.
It is interesting when you check it out.
Is it on Netflix?
But I don't know. It's kind of hippie. I think it was out in the early 2000s. But yeah, where they have interviews and things like that and whatnot, as well as a drama interspersed in there as well. And, I thought it was decent. We'll call it a documentary. Just to make it easier.
Yeah, so what I did like is I like the fact that they have these dudes coming in and being completely honest about, okay, this initially when I worked for YouTube or I worked for Facebook or I worked for whoever, this is what I was doing. We were trying to do this to get this achievement, right? Like, and the interesting thing was like none of these guys had malice intent. At least that's what they're telling us, and I believe them. I don't think anybody that was making any of these algorithms, honestly, I don't think any of them could foreshadow what would have happened, because a lot of these guys were they were like 2005, 2003,
The early days of the
early,
internet and social media.
I wouldn't say the early days of the internet, but the early days of social media.
The early days of the popularized internet.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got the internet days.
Yeah.
The early days of the internet were freaking amazing, where the search engines were using like Fido or things like that just to find the information you needed. And sure, it was kind of a pain in the ass, and when Google first came out, that was God's gift to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Google in its heyday or early days was great. You type in what you were looking for and it would come up with everything, and it wouldn't try to tell you what it thinks you want. And I am looking for this specific phrase. Do you mean blah blah blah? No, I don't fucking mean that. I mean this. So it's that change, that predictive mentality that's I think is a big contributor to the problems. It's brought up in that documentary or docudrama, The Social Dilemma is what it's called. I don't know if we mentioned the name, but it's on Netflix. Came out a couple weeks ago.
I did like the fact that they brought the creators of these algorithms. They didn't create the app; they created the way the app thinks. Right. I did not like the subplot in the background with the kid that was going cold turkey, and then his girlfriend broke up, and it gave him a notification. Like, I'm not gonna ruin it, but I did not really care for. But it was very interesting, and it was also very scary. And it kind of, I guess I would say it solidified what we kind of already knew. Like, I'm telling you, I'm talking to a guy about a fucking barbecue and some guns, and the next thing you know, I'm getting ads about barbecues, and it's just like, I never looked that up. I even told that guy, I was like, dude, I even said this. I said straight up, I said, dude, we should talk about just like hot orgy sex, and see how that pans out. See if like some stuff comes up from like I don't know, Adam and Eve Shop or Hustler or Penthouse or something, just to see, which we never did. But so you have these apps. They're reading your information. They're reading your information for companies that are buying ad space on other websites, like I don't know what, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter has ads. Who else has ads? YouTube's got ads. The weird thing about YouTube is YouTube doesn't have like banner ads. They have the ads, like the 5-second ads that'll come sometime during the video. I find that YouTube ads are pretty fucking hit and miss. Like, they're not really spot on. Not saying that, because it does seem that like the ad selling on YouTube is not targeted. It seems like it's more like I get an ad. There's a Trump ad. There's a Biden ad. And I don't know. There's ads for a lot of things that I don't give a shit about, and I've never looked them up. So I feel like YouTube. What's YouTube's thing? YouTube's thing, I guess, would be, I don't know, keeping you watching YouTube. I think that's what YouTube does, right? YouTube just like, you watched Conspiracy on Alexander Hamilton, and then it's, you should watch this next. And then you watch that, it's like, well, you should watch this next. So I feel like YouTube's algorithm is a little bit different. YouTube is like, YouTube's just making money off of you watching YouTube. Because they get
ad impressions when you watch it.
So right, so you go to that next video, you still got to watch like a 5-second ad, but those ads aren't targeted. Whereas like Facebook, I remember right about the ass end of me getting off of Facebook, and you had been long gone, but like, Facebook had been getting more and more videos posted, whether it was like YouTube type content where like people were posting shit, and it'd be good shit. It'd be like, oh, there was an otter, it fell in the sewer, and we took it home, and you're like, oh my god, it's a fucking otter, and then it's like, a minute into the video, you have to watch a 20-second ad to continue watching the video, and you're just like, yo, what the fuck? Like the left and the right side are just like chock full of ads. Every now and then you scroll through your feed and there was an ad, and now I'm watching videos, and like I said, like not necessarily targeted. I think the targeted ads were more like the banner ads. You know what I mean? But like the actual video ads, I don't feel like they were targeted. I feel like it was just stuff that would, especially on YouTube, it just keeps you more engaged with the app. I can't tell you, aside from after I uninstalled the Facebook app and I don't follow anybody now that I uninstalled my profile, installed my profile, deleted my friends, deleted my pictures. I don't get anything extraneous. What I do notice the most is when I look up shit on Amazon. I don't know how.
Well, Amazon's got a huge ad network as well.
Mm.
So you go to other sites, you go to Amazon. Those cookies store your information or reference you. Then you go to another site, and Amazon knows what you've been looking up because they're serving Amazon ads, and it'll start trying to sell you, try to draw you back to the site to buy stuff.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You see that they're talking about restricting the government protections afforded to all these big tech networks.
I've got mixed feelings about that. I agree that these companies need to determine whether they're going to be a platform or a provider. But I don't like the government getting involved in anything, because I always anything they put their hands on, they fuck up. It's like King Midas, but for shit. So King Midas everything he touched would turn to gold. Well, anything the government touches turns to shit. So I'm not sure I want them getting involved with that. However, I think the companies that do censor and do things like that shouldn't have the protection against lawsuits and so on. They censor all this stuff and say everything one side says is a lie, or throws it behind these fact check screens or something like that. And then just then they hide behind the whole, well, we're just a platform, not a provider, or content provider, or whatever the fuck. I don't agree with that. Twitter.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Twitter's been doing that, where they will ban people for saying things that they deem to be false or whatever, and it's a bunch of crap. I like the days of the completely free and uninhibited internet, the Wild West days of the internet, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to sit there and rant about whatever the hell they want to rant about, so be it. You don't have to read it. You don't have to look at it. Just click away, or close that window. Go, keep scrolling. Whatever the hell. That I'm fine with. It's when you say, "Oh well, you can't talk about certain things because it's too sensitive," and that when that's not proportionately applied. If Twitter had a rule like no political discussions whatsoever, and just anybody who talked political got banned across the board, fine. But they don't apply it evenly, and that's the problem. It is being used for politicking.
I don't think the discussion between the government and the things is necessarily the government regulating. Like the huge debate is your last topic is basically if Twitter makes a rule, right? So the agreement by the government and these social media companies is that okay, you can be one of two things. You can be a forum or you can be a publisher. So if you're a publisher, you can go through and you can regulate whatever the fuck you want to, right? If you're going to edit, you're going to be editor, and then you're going to publish stuff. And let's say you're the Washington Post and you publish an article about some kid wearing a Trump hat at a rally, and then you say all these bad things about him. Well, then if Washington Post is wrong, then that kid has that kid can turn around and sue you for libel, right? So what these social media companies said is like, well, no, 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 no. What we are is we're just a forum for free speech. And the government's like, oh, okay. So you're not news affiliated. You're not, okay, cool. Here's the deal. We will protect you from being sued by anybody and everybody as long as you remain being a forum. As long as you maintain yourself as a free speech platform, then people can't come and sue you for libel or whatever. But the problem is,
here's where my objection on that though is that the government has no right and no place in regulating free speech.
No, they don't.
Private companies.
They don't. But the problem is, the companies went to the government and they said, "Look, we have this platform. We want to allow people to tweet. We want to allow people to comment on videos. We want people to comment on this social media site. And we need a way to protect ourselves because we're just allowing free speech. And we know that someone's going to get hurt feelings. And we don't want them to come after us because we're making billions of dollars hand over fist." And the government said, okay, as long as you promote free speech and you just don't censor anything, because is censoring free speech? It's not. I mean, if you ask me, as long as you don't change what anybody says or you just let people post, we're fine. But what's been happening is, like you said, like on Twitter, if the president said something about this and they're like, well, that's fake news. And then they put a little blurb on there, or they delete his tweet. Or if a doctor says, actually, hydrochloroquine, helps with COVID, and I have proof, and they censor that, or they delete it, or they fact check it and say mostly false. That's not free speech anymore. Like, your job as Twitter is to essentially just make sure the servers are running and make sure that people are able to tweet whatever or comment on whatever on YouTube videos. So essentially, these social media companies went into bed with the government to protect themselves from lawsuits. And the government said, as long as you promote free speech, you can't be sued. Now, when you start playing editor and you start playing publisher and you just kind of pick and choose which tweets are, because, there's wrong tweets on all sides, my dude. There's, I'm sure if we look and, on this side and on this side. But that's part of being an adult, right? Like, part of being an adult is like, okay, well, fuckhead said this and shithead said that. So I need to find out what was actually said. Is there an actual video with fuckhead and shithead talking? That's what a responsible adult does, right? But most people don't do that, right? I'm not saying they're not responsible, but maybe I am. So what I'm saying is, I feel we're talking about this protection of lawsuit. It does, like, the government needs to straight up renege on it, because the social media platforms themselves reneged on it. They said, we're platforms for free speech. Can we get lawsuit protection? And the government's like, yes, we're signing it into law. You cannot be sued by anybody because you are. But Twitter, especially, time after time after time. And the thing is, I agree with you. Like, these are private companies, right? Essentially, if I have a private company and I can go through and regulate what I want to regulate, right? It's my company. It's private.
The original intent of the law, though, was to protect the internet service providers, actual service providers who are letting people connect through their lines to get to the internet, and not to protect Facebook or Twitter or Google or whoever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
The government really should say, you know what, we're just getting rid of this whole thing right here. This protection applies to the companies that are letting you connect. You can't sue Comcast, even though they're a bunch of asshats, because somebody used their service to get online and posted something bad about you.
Mm-hmm.
But you could sue Twitter. You could sue whoever, if you want to, and Twitter can fight it, and they'd probably win because people sue everybody, for no reason.
Well, to be clear, like nobody sues anybody to win; they sue to get the settlement. That's essentially,
Often,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I personally think when we're this rabbit hole we climb down, like I think the government should just get rid of that protection. I think they should
Except for
specifically.
actual internet service providers, not
Sure.
platform
I don't think it
providers.
should be extended to because each and every one of them has violated that. It's like it's not only did they violate it, but it's like what baffles me. Uh, what baffles me is that all these people, the Twitters, the Googles, YouTube is Google, but the YouTubes, because you have the Google search engine, then you have the YouTube, and you got the Facebook. Like all these companies are fucking billion-dollar companies. And you tell me, in what other country would they be billion-dollar companies? If they were in Brazil, if they were in Germany, if they were in China, like where would these companies be as big as they are now? So all these freedoms that they have is because of our government. And the worst part is what makes this country better than any other fucking country is the capitalistic ideals that we have. And, when you look at like a libertarian side or Republican side, like those are as close as you're going to get to ideal capitalism. But most of these companies don't promote that, which boggles my mind. I can't wrap my head around it. We're talking about,
What do you mean they don't promote that?
well,
Of
okay.
course they do.
Well,
You're
no,
the product.
well,
They're
no,
they're
no, 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 no.
promoting capitalism by sending you those ads.
No, not that. I'm telling you. So Trump's always getting fact checked. Trump's the Republican. If they really, really, really wanted to, like, to me, let me think of me. Let me give you an example. So I'm running a startup company in my basement. It's a social media site. I'm going to start it in the U.S. because I got a lot of protections as a social media company, and the sky's the limit. Okay, I make it big, then all of a sudden I'm like, fuck this country. Everything this country's giving me, fuck me, fuck that shit. And now I'm going to turn around and go after the government that gave me all this money, essentially. Like the people gave me the money using my site, me selling ads, or maybe me having like, some pay apps in there within my site. But my point is, I just find it intriguing that the Googles, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, and the Twitters lean left heavily. And when you look at the left heavily, they want to socialize. In reality, like if you look at what they want to do, they just want to make this shit a communism. That's what they want to do. They say socialism because socialism is less of a harsh word than communism. But I want you to think of everything in any communist country and how well that went. I think the last biggest incident was a fucking virus, and before that it was nuclear fallout. So please tell me, like $1 million, $1 billion companies, why you would push for this country to become communism. Boggles my mind. I don't know. Maybe I assume it's that old age where, if you jump on that shit bandwagon, then, the alligator's going to eat you last, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. Fucking boggles my mind, dude. Like, dude, you do
Well,
realize.
it's because it's not about communism, socialism, capitalism. It's about their power, and they as a company is about corporatism,
Mm-hmm.
and they as a company would be able to have more power in a society like that, where and I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouths, but if we were in a society where so let's say the company went socialist, your our fears have been realized. Biden wins, dies a week later, and Kamala Harris is the new president. Bernie Sanders is now the vice president, and they go full socialist. Well, those big tech companies, socialism has to pay for itself somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And those big tech companies will be able to provide the information the government needs to keep the drones producing, being productive, and reporting in on what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're thinking. Oh, they're looking at information about how to build bombs, and then they go, the police come knocking on their door in the middle of the night and take them away. So they would have a place in that society because they have information.
Mm-hmm.
Information is power, and that's what they're hedging their bets on, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning to. If we get this party elected in and they basically enslave the people, then we will have a spot. We'll be protected. We will be, I mean, essentially in a communism government. Like how did Animal Farm put it? That old book by
all animals are equal. Some are more equal than others.
Exactly. So then you have the Twitters, the YouTube, and the Facebooks inside the house eating all the food while all the rest of the animals are outside watching from within. And the humans are in there and the pigs are in there and they're all drunk and they're laughing and they can't really fucking tell the difference, right? I think that's kind of how it was a short story, right? Orwell? George Orwell?
Yeah, fairly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think I should go back and read that. It's been a hot fortnight since I read that, so yeah, it was a really good book. But yeah, so
an allegorical
novella. Are you channeling the Latino vote for the Libertarian Party? Is that what's going on here?
It's just what it is. Oh no, that's another dude. But
so tell me, so we're talking about this Twitter, and you had a Facebook. So you have an Instagram, you have a Facebook. Tell me about your YouTube. You watch a lot of YouTube videos, yeah?
Nope, not really.
None.
Very few. I don't like videos. I would much rather read an article than watch a video about whatever it is. The most YouTube I get, I do is, basically music. Just throwing up some music in the background while I'm at my computer or whatever, and occasionally I'll have different podcasts and things like that, or I'll look up a strategy for a game or something, something like that. Then I'll watch the video. But in general, no, not to watching videos.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm goes deep on me. I've chased a lot of rabbit holes on the YouTube, as well as I've got my subscriptions set up, so there's a couple channels that put about 3 to 5 videos out per day, and I mean, dude, it is a good thing.
I do that with Wiki. I do that with Wikipedia, where I'll look up some information about something, end up on Wiki, and then end up diving down, and where I was looking up something about the Golden Gate Bridge. Next thing you know, I'm reading about fucking dogs in Kenya or something. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of watching videos, and even on Twitter, when videos and stuff are posted, I 9 times out of 10 won't watch them.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm goes deep, man. Like 3 to 5 videos a day I watch on YouTube from people I subscribe to. But dude, it's just so hard. It is so hard, man. It is so hard to break away, even though there is someone on the other side, whether it's a server, whether it's autonomous, or it's actually a person somewhere.
Autonomous?
Yeah, like it runs itself. Yeah,
Autonomous.
yeah, yeah. That word,
Sorry.
autonomous. You get what I'm
Like, what
saying, though.
no, I mean I do now. I really at first was like, what the autonomous? What do you mean by that? And it didn't click.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what
You
I'm
need see,
saying.
you need to read more, man.
Ah, dude, that's another topic. In a nutshell, I used to read a lot when I was in high school, and then high schools were like, oppressing my reading. So I had a lot of books. I liked reading Crichton. I liked reading Grisham. I like reading Clancy. Like that's what I loved when I was, ninth through 12th grade. And then school was like, well, you have to read Fahrenheit 451. You have to read Atlas Shrugged.
Hey! That is my favorite fucking and Atlas Shrugged,
Well,
dude.
dude, it's whatever. The point is like, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, it's one thing for, the school to make you read a book, but my school was like, it was the summer reading. So, like, in the summer, dude, like, I would go to the library with my dad, like, every other week, and I go check out books I wanted to read. And then all of a sudden, I had to read these books for school in the summertime. And I read them, but it just, dude, like, being forced, like, if you're already doing something, if you're already fucking doing something and then somebody's like mandating how you do, so not only do you have to continue what you're doing, but now you're micromanaged on how you do it. Like where's, you remember you're talking to a guy that, I'm a fucking high schooler, like
Well, that's
oh,
just a reflection of
squirrel.
our current education system, which desperately needs reform as well.
So yeah, dude, I used to read insanely a lot.
But
Insanely.
let me take that for a second and run with it.
Oh shoot.
So that's part of the problem that we're seeing these days, though, is with the advent of social media and the more popularization of the internet, we're getting less and less reading to that extent. It's everything's got to be condensed in these little blurbs or little quick sound bites. Our attention spans have dropped dramatically, um, and a lot of that, I believe, is due to social media as well,
Mm.
where you're getting fed these tidbits, little treats like ET eating the Reese's Pieces, following the trail of Reese's Pieces,
What is that shit that what is that fucking chemical? It's not dopamine, right?
serotonin.
Is it serotonin? Okay. I don't know. Something that every time that happens, you get the little good feeling.
Oh, I think it is dopamine. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, you get these little rewards, and so that's they just keep feeding you little tiny bits, and so our attention span has shrunk to that extent where when you ask a kid to read, War and Peace now, they freak the fuck out. Oh my god, I couldn't read that. Hell, you ask a kid to read Fahrenheit 451, and they'll freak out. It's
It's not that I freaked out, okay? I'm going to clarify. I did not freak out over that. I just had no interest. It was like, dude, I don't know what your genre of like literature is or music. Music's probably like, it'd be like telling you,
Fahrenheit 451 is my absolute favorite book
sure.
ever.
Okay, cool. You like Tool? All right. For the rest of the summer, you have to listen to fucking country music, dude. And then you have to give me a report on all the country music you listen to. And don't you fucking skimp on it because it's gradable and it's 25% of your fucking grade as per, curriculum.
But me as a free human, I would take the F and tell them to fuck
Ah,
themselves.
yeah, but you need to graduate high school. So, you know what I mean? Like that's what it was to me. Like it is it like if there was a kid and the
A little
kid
background on that note. A little background. I took the GED my junior year, at the start of my junior year, whenever the earliest I could take it was.
Mhm.
So the last 2 years, or actually a year and a half, because I graduated early. The last year and a half of high school that I had was solely I went through just knowing I didn't have to be here. If I didn't want to be here, I could walk out anytime. So I did run things differently, but I'm wired differently. I am a very free spirit, and I was not going to be leashed, controlled by anyone. And that's how I chose to live my life.
Mm.
And then I got married.
Yeah. Dude, I know in today's age, exactly what you said. Short attention spans because of social media, because of, electronic, PEDs as we call them, portable electronic devices. If I have a kid and the kid decides he wants to read like fantasy novels, I read a couple, wasn't my thing. But if this kid wants to read fantasy novels, dude, I am going to encourage the shit out of that because at least he is fucking reading. And if the school comes out with some shit like, oh, he needs to read, I'll be like, okay, all right, I'll go talk. I will go fight that war. I'll be like, look, man, in 4 years, he'll read 2 of those 4, okay? And just deal with it because you should just be happy kids are reading, you know? It's not like you try out for the fucking basketball team for athletics and you're not good enough, so they tell you to go. You have to play golf, and you just don't do athletics. Just be happy the motherfucker's reading. So, but yeah.
Pause here a moment. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I've been dehydrated lately, so I've been drinking a lot of fluids. Oh shit! Now my cat wants out. Hang on.
COVID. COVID. COVID.
All right. And I need to get a longer cable for my monitor. All right, where were we? Reading, kids, school. All right.
1 second.
Go ahead and start. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I mean, talking to your kids and being the intermediary is very important. But again, it's the education system, and that's the topic for a whole episode or whatever. Because we could go on for hours and hours about how fucked up that is these days. But the attention span, the effect of social media on the brain like that, like in that documentary, they talk about how those algorithms are programmed to keep people coming back with the alerts, with how they're communicating, sending you this at these certain times. Oh, well, this time of day he's normally at work, so they kind of cut down on the things. Then after work, you're getting traffic updates, kind of thing based on, oh, well, his phone's always moving at this time between 4:30 and 5:15 between point A and point B. So here's the traffic information for in between there. That sort of thing. It is. They're designed to give you those little tidbits, those little Reese's pieces of information, and keep you following along. And that's the problem. Don't live for likes.
A lot of this decline, because like we said earlier, like the dudes that made this shit, I don't think that they made these algorithms with malice intent, but as things continue to move on, they evolve, and not always for good reasons. And I just want to know where the fuck the parents are. Where are the parents monitoring their screen time, monitoring what they're doing? You know,
They're on Facebook, man.
the parents are on Facebook with them. That's the problem, dude. And there's nothing wrong with social media. I think one of the benefits of social media is the fact that, if I ever lost touch with you, maybe I'm like, dude, who is that guy? I fucking played video games with him, went to a couple conventions with him, and maybe, just maybe, I'm like, oh my god, and connect, talk to you, because I have been able to, for one, rekindle friendships with old army buddies, old high school buddies. I have been able to, most importantly, stay in touch with family. So when I was on Facebook, I use Snapchat and Instagram now. Instagram's like Facebook Lite. It's just pictures, and but it's cool to see them. They're having kids, they're having families, they're doing shit, and that's essentially, to me, like, nowadays, the purest form that I can get out of it. There's going to be ads. It's going to be, hey, so and so posted, or so and so. I get it, but like, to me, where the fuck are the parents, man? Because this shit has a very good. I mean, there's a lot of good that could be done out of this. People help cops solve crimes. Like on Reddit and shit, they go over videotapes. And like, I know that guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good that
Yeah,
comes out of
and
this.
people also pick out the wrong people and ruin people's lives.
People dox people. But I'm saying there is good from it, and like you said earlier, like, it's turned into a fucking bravado, big wiener move where I can sit behind a keyboard and fucking talk shit about this guy, and he's not gonna punch me in the. That's basically what it boils down to, and the toxicity just metastasizes. But dude, where the fuck are the parents? Like, if you may have not have intended to have a kid, but you have a kid, be responsible, man. Fucking manage that screen time, manage the time that they're using, manage what they're doing. For fuck's sake, be responsible, because
And part of that goes to the 24-hour news cycle. Remember, cartoons used to only be on early in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, and Saturday mornings, kind of thing. And now you've got whole network channels devoted to cartoons.
mm,
It's not, that isn't the problem with just social media. That is media in general, where you're conditioning your child to stare at this box, this screen, and you're training them to get their information from this screen and not going out in the world. You tell a kid, okay, turn off your video games, turn off the TV, turn off your phone, go outside and play. What do? They don't know what the fuck to do. Me, we didn't have that shit. Cartoons were over by 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and we'd be out running around and causing a ruckus in the neighborhood and coming up with crazy ideas, playing hide and seek with the neighbor kids and whatever.
to a lesser extent, we do sound like boomers. Oh, back in my day. Well, back in my
I'm
day.
fucking Gen X, bitch.
Well, I'm saying we sound like boomers, don't we? I'm just saying, like, that's one thing I've been able to be blessed with, is the environment I work in. I get a lot of people younger than me. Hell, where I work now, where with a lot of those guys are younger than me. Some of them can relate, but some of them can't. And it's like, dude, like, I lived in a household where, when I was in fifth grade, I think fifth grade was when it started. Like, I would get locked out of the house, and it's like, well, what do I? It's like, go find something to do. There's 2 acres of land. Go meet some kids. Go fucking play some sports. Go get some sun. If you're thirsty, there's 2 water hoses, one in the front of the house, one in the back of the house. You know what I mean?
I'd go biking a couple miles to like the park and to go fishing. or
That was later
um,
on, but yeah, totally
when
biking.
when when hanging out with some friends in a little bit more rural area that has fortunately been able to stay fairly rural. Um, we went biking with 22 strapped to our backs, and a cop asked us, "Hey, you guys being safe?" Yep. All right.
Where was this?
Like,
This was in Cali?
yep. All right. If I hear any reports about any animals getting shot, I'm coming after you guys. Kind of stuff. And we're just, two, like what, 11 and 12 ish,
Mm.
biking down the road with 22 on our back.
Mm-hmm.
And we go down to the creek and shoot into the berm, and you know,
So in a nutshell, if anybody's listening and you're in that age, get out there and live life. There's more things out there than likes. And if you got kids, lock them out of the house. Shit. Fuck, man. Get them off that fucking algorithm. Get them off the screen, man. There's just, unless you're going to monitor what the hell is going on, I don't know, man. It is a.
don't be a helicopter parent. We don't need that.
Mm,
Kids learn from their mistakes.
a
I
lot, a
learned,
lot better than adults. A
yeah, I
lot better.
learned very, very early on. Don't stick shit into electrical sockets because it sucks.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up. You ever been around somebody that's 30 plus years old and never had like any adversity in their life?
I try to avoid that.
No, I don't have a choice, but like it's like watching somebody have a meltdown over the fact that they didn't make a promotion, or that their award got downgraded, or something. The fucking, it's like, dude, there's this magical thing. It's called silver lining. Okay, you'll be okay. Look up to the clouds. What happened? What did you learn? Are you still getting a paycheck? Are you still eating? Okay. What's wrong? Helicopter parents, Ben.
But no, I showed up to work every single day. I should have gotten that promotion.
Yeah, me too. But I think we're about done with this topic. You got anything else you want to touch on before we bounce out of here and get on with being responsible adults?
Yeah, not really. Just delete your social media. If you do use it sparingly. Use it in the sense that, be aware that they're profiting off you, that you're the commodity, and that keep an open mind about shit. Don't let yourself get trapped into a fucking um, echo chamber where all you hear are stuff, people that agree with you. There's a whole world of people out there that think you're a dumbass. I guarantee it.
I always like your final word. With that being said, I am Jake.
I'm Drake.
And this is Jake and Drake Show. Please comment, subscribe, like, and spread the word.
And follow us on social media.
Oh, and follow us on social media. Thank you very much. What that guy said. All right, we'll catch you guys next week. Next week, we got a couple things that we're going to be tossing up in the air. We don't exactly know yet. We may have a guest on, and it should be really interesting. It's going to be economics related. So tune in next week. Jake and Drake Show right here on the YouTube.